Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com. Today, I am your host, as always, your ridiculously over good brother, Anthony Florio. I am joined, as always, by good old MF, Michael Fletcher, the Phenom, Michael Bullock, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson. We continue on the road to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Monday Night Raw, of course, as has been the new norm for the last just about a couple of months now, from the Performance Center in Orlando, exclusively on the USA Network. And we're going to start things off with, well, what has become a normal of Monday Night Raw over the years. Yes, it was a elongated windbag talking segment, but it's one that we don't often see, and that is MVP's VIP Lounge. And it was for the first time in the Performance Center. And MVP's guests were the three men who will be representing Monday Night Raw in the upcoming men's Money in the Bank ladder matchup, which is, of course, Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Apollo Crews. And they would end up being interrupted by Zelina Vega and her stable of Andrade, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory. And of course, a staple of Ridiculously Raw over the years has been 2-for-1 deals, and that's exactly what we're going to get here. And chaos would break loose, all hell would break loose, and it would lead into a 6-man tag team matchup. Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Apollo Crews squaring off against Angel Garza, Austin Theory, and the United States Heavyweight Champion Andrade. So let me just try to find this. Winners of the match in an even 25 minutes. Yes, you heard me right. 25 minutes. The face team, Mysterio, Black, and Apollo Crews. And Apollo Crews pins the United States Heavyweight Champion. Wow. A lot to think about here. First things first, solid segment to start the show. And I'm going to tell you one thing. A spoiler alert here. Apollo Crews was the MVP of this show here tonight. Honest to goodness. Really, really was. And he gave a great performance on the mic in the segment. And then in the match, the 6-man tag team matchup, which I'm going to go on the record and call Fight of the Night. I'm going to give this a solid 4 stars. I mean, wow. Exciting match. A solid showcase of key athletes who could be relevant down the line. And what else is there to say? I mean, great action throughout. Good near falls throughout. The spot of the match, no question about it. Michael Bullock and I, we agreed on this during our Raw chat this evening. A double Tope Con Hilo in stereo by both Aleister Black and Apollo Crews prior to a commercial break, and which was awesome, to say the very least. So the in-ring segment was fine, but that 6-man tag, man, wow, what a match. Fight of the night for me, 4 stars. No doubt about it. And this was not the last time we're going to be seeing Apollo Crews. We didn't even ask if this was a championship committee moment, because guess what? We end up getting a championship committee moment. And so nice we get to see it twice. A United States Heavyweight Championship match later in the evening with Apollo Crews and Andrade. Wait till you see how this one turns out. So there's nothing more to say on this. Good old MF, Michael Fletcher, come on in. I mean, a solid VIP lounge segment, and then this 6-man tag with an even 25 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Total agreement with what you just said, Anthony Floyo. This is indeed the fight of the night. This was a solid, solid match. Nothing more to add on that. The talking segment was really good. I really enjoyed the VIP lounge. I thought everybody did very well. Yes, Apollo Cruz was the MVP of the entire thing, but Zelina Vega was the MVP of the MVP lounge. She absolutely was very manipulative, trying to get her boys praising her men, the three guys, and trying to, I guess you could say, nonchalantly try to get Apollo, Ray, and Alistair to literally give up their spots on the Raw side of the Money in the Bank ladder match and to try to award it to Angel Garza, Austin Theory, and Andrade. And she tried to do it in such a vindictive, manipulative, straight up an evil way. Like it was a masterclass of a heel manager basically trying to tell the other guys, you guys are not going to win the Money in the Bank if you guys are going to be representing Monday Night Raw. And let's be realistic. I agree with Zelina. None of your three Raw guys have what it takes to win the Money in the Bank ladder match. Especially with the three that I got, the two that I got, and who could possibly be the third going into Money in the Bank on SmackDown side. I feel more confident about, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the hell with it, King Corbin. I definitely feel very confident as it relates to one Daniel Bryan and whoever it is, either Otis or Dolph Ziggler. I would feel confident that they could win the Money in the Bank ladder match. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens. This was definitely an excellent segment, and it was beautifully done. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Boy, Fletch, I think Zelina Vega's got you all manipulated with how you with how you feel about how she did. But anywho, I agree. I mean, segment was fine, to say the very least. I mean, you really think Aleister Black, Apollo Cruz, and Rey Mysterio were gonna give up their spots that they earned? I don't think so. So yeah, and that's when they said, you know what, let's get it on, and get on they did, and I agree. This was definitely the fight of the night as far as I'm concerned. With the six man of Fletch, did you give a rating for that match?
I would go with Anthony on the three, 3.5.
I gave it 4.
All right,
I gave it 4.
all right. I wasn't quite sure if you did. So you know what? I'll give it 3.5 to 4. Uh, when it comes to this, I mean, definitely, certainly a great way to start off the matches portion of it. So yeah, there's really nothing more that needs to be added. So Dee Dee Woodson, it's yours.
Yeah, it was a solid segment. I'm not really going to comment on Miss Vega because I don't really have anything nice to say about her right now or her little Trump group that she's got.
Or idiots.
That's better than what has been going around our house as to what they are. So yeah, and giving respect to Anthony and my own face, I'm not going to repeat it on here because it's not very nice. Um, yeah, like I said, solid segment. You know, we all knew they weren't going to turn um, and give the match away. You know, that's just not the way it should go, and they didn't do that. Turned into a 6-man, of course. Expected that. The match was solid. My only complaint was it was a bit long, but I do agree with the rating. It's about 3.5 to 4. 4 stars. Definitely is a fight of the night, but yeah, just a wee bit too long for my liking for the match. So not much more I'm going to add. So it's yours, Florio.
Okay, let's move on to our. Now, what happened here was it was scheduled to be a triple threat match with the 3 women in the Money in the Bank ladder match from Raw, which was Nia Jax, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler. The fight never happens. It was more of a fight than it was more of an angle, really, more than a match. And so that happened. The only match that was advertised for this show did not take place. And we see brawls prior to matches that end up taking place all the time. So it felt like the cop-out that it was. And plenty of ways to get a brawl like this without teasing a match the company did not intend to deliver. But at the same time, it makes sense to save this triple threat for later while building toward Money in the Bank. These 3 women each have a legitimate shot at winning the briefcase, and they all should be protected to an extent. But it kind of felt a little artificial for me. Baszler chose to fight rather than wrestle, attacking a woman that had a beef with another woman in the match. It was a messy segment that accomplished nothing, if I'm going to be honest with you. So hopefully we'll get this triple threat maybe next week. So, because that is the go-home show for Money in the Bank. So then we had Bobby Lashley squash match against Denzel Dejournay. Lashley squashes him in 1:40. This Lashley and Lana thing, I still don't get any idea what's going on with it. But, it is what it is. Then we had, another thing Monday Night Raw has been known for over the years, repetitiveness. And we had another return match with Liv Morgan squaring off against Ruby Riott. And again, Liv Morgan defeats Ruby Riott in 2 minutes and 55 seconds. And, Morgan's on her way. I mean, the match was far too short and uninvolved for the rivalry, but it did a great job establishing Morgan. She has been steadily rebuilt to become a potential contender in the Raw Women's Division. What matters now is forward momentum. If the rivalry with Ruby Riott is over, Morgan should look for a real opportunity. A title shot against Becky Lynch could truly help to establish her, even if she loses. So, just something to watch for there. And then, reality has struck Monday Night Raw because, I've been dreading this day, but the day has come, unfortunately. The modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, is back on Monday Night Raw, and he squashes Akira Tozawa. I feel for Akira Tozawa. Squashes him in 1:35. Now I'll say it like this: as easy as it is for me to bust Mahal's chops, I will give him props for returning from a knee injury that sidelined him for nearly a year. And I didn't mind Tozawa taking competitive losses on Raw while he's in the interim NXT Cruiserweight title tournament, but he looked more like a glorified enhancement talent this week. I'm sorry to say it. And, it is what it is there. He's in good shape, but he has not added much to his moveset, and WWE's going to need to rebuild him fast if there is any plan to treat him like the heel that won the WWE Championship rather than the former 24/7 champion. And given Tozawa's involvement in the Cruiserweight tournament, it's an odd choice to have him lose repeatedly on Monday Night Raw in lopsided bouts. It sets up an unnecessary and insulting hierarchy. And then the United States Heavyweight Championship matchup. We saw these guys earlier in the night. It was the bravado of Apollo Crews against the machismo of Andrade. Winner of the match in 16 minutes and 45 seconds via a referee stoppage, and still the United States heavyweight champion, Andrade. MF, I mean, Apollo Crews, man. He was so close yet so far away. But my only worry and concern is, and I told Bullock this during our Raw chat,
The referee stoppage. The referee
Yeah. I pray to God it's not a legitimate injury.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'd be worried too if you're Monday Night Raw. Because if that's a legitimate injury, if that prevents Apollo Crews to fight for Money in the Bank, that's a devastating loss for him. I mean, that's more than just a devastating loss. That could be an X Factor moment, because then you got a spot open. That means somebody could swoop in and steal that spot. Who could that be? And, I mean, that could go a number of ways, guys. A lot for the good, a lot for the real bad. I mean, I could rattle off names now that could go from here to Kingdom Come, and there's some that you're gonna like to hear, but then there's also names that I have that could really set Florio off. And I literally mean set him off into a riot. So, we gotta hope and pray that Apollo is not seriously hurt. We're gonna have to keep a very watchful eye in the next week or so, because if it's severe enough that he cannot go Money in the Bank, man, that would be a horrible situation. We're just gonna have to wait and see. It was a good fight. 3 to 3.5 stars, no doubt about it. And I'll give credit where credit's due for Apollo Crews for being a resilient fighter, for battling as good as he did. But come on, United States champion Andrade. Look, we can say whatever we want to say about him. We can say whatever we want to think about Andrade. With Zelina and the crew. But at the end of the day, even after getting busted for PEDs, he still finds a way to get the job done. He still finds a way to be the United States heavyweight champion. And there's really nothing more to add on that. This was a great match. This was a good effort, and I'll give all the credit in the world. But if you're Monday Night Raw, you're worried about Apollo Crews right now, and you're hoping and praying that that injury is not severe, because, Anthony, I'll openly admit it, it looks bad, bro. It looked bad. That looked bad. Yeah. You even openly admitted it. I'm going to openly admit it. It looks
I agree.
It looks bad, guys. And I'm gonna be real blunt here. There's an outside chance he might not make it to Money in the Bank. I'm just going out there. I'm just throwing it out there now. You can take my word for it, or you could take it with a pinch of salt. But it looked bad enough
He's
that
done.
I'm not calling him done. But I would probably say he's got about, I'm going to say it's about 75-25 that he's in on Money in the Bank. 75-25. I would, if I'm doing this NFL-wise, I would list him as questionable right now.
Yeah.
He's questionable for Money in the Bank.
He had it braced. He had it braced, and I think I saw an ice pack on it as well.
Yeah, so he's questionable.
Yeah.
He's questionable.
And he was very emotional. He was very emotional back there because Charlie Caruso was trying to get an interview with him, and he couldn't say, he didn't have any words.
Because I think he knows something's definitely wrong.
Because
I think
that's not worrisome. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think he was worried that something went wrong, and something's wrong. But hopefully it's nothing serious. Hopefully, it's just a questionable injury, because if he goes doubtful or straight out, man, I'd feel my heart would break for Apollo Crews. My heart would break for him. Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, and the thing is, he would have to be monitored throughout the rest of this week and next week to see how the prognosis with his knee. Because yeah, I mean, just by seeing the emotion on him, you can tell something is not right. So the doctors are going to keep an eye on it. But yeah, if he's out, man, I would feel really bad for him. And I really hope that they can replace him with someone good. Because if you replace him with someone that Anthony Florio doesn't like, you're not gonna WWE. You're not gonna like the reaction of my good friend Anthony Florio, because he will rip into WWE, and not in a good way. So I'm just warning you guys. If you're gonna replace Apollo Crews, you better replace him with someone good. I'm just saying. 3.5. I agree with the rating. Nothing more to say. Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
Yeah, I can agree with the rating. It did look pretty nasty. Didn't look good when they did the interview. Him being on the crutches. So yeah, I would definitely agree with the him being questionable for Money in the Bank. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. So it's yours, Florio.
Second, this was clearly the second best fight of the night. I'm giving this 3.5 stars. Oh man. Before the injury, this was shaping up to be one of the best matches of Apollo Crews' career. The two men clicked with high stakes, and the challenger was making it feel more personal to him than any match he has had before. Hopefully, the knee injury is not too bad if it was not kayfabe. Crews has been on the rise and needed this moment to prove he was worthy of his push. No one ever wants to get hurt, but this was an extremely poorly timed injury. If it was a storyline injury, it could be a big moment for Crews to rebound quickly, even though he will lose out on competing in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, damn, man, my heart breaks for him. I mean, I know I've been very critical of him over the years, because I thought of him as an enhancement talent, a woe is me talent, but over the last few weeks, I mean, he has really, really opened my eyes. I mean, especially that epic match he had against Aleister Black that surprised the hell out of all of us. And then tonight, with the MVP effort he put in tonight, I mean, I honestly thought he was going to win the belt. I really did. But, it is what it is. And it's very difficult to say whether Apollo's push was working without a live crowd there to serve as the barometer. I do know at the same time, I know it was kind of soon to put the title on him. So the finish worked for me. It protected both men, but, only time will tell, I guess. So Ricochet and Cedric Alexander in tag team action against Everrise, Chase Parker, and Matt Martel. Ricochet and Alexander win the match in 4 minutes and 10 seconds. But after the match, MVP was on the big screen, and he's now the manager for Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. And we might see a rematch with these two next week, although it's not official. But I like the idea of MVP being a manager. But I cannot say that I thought of Thorne and Vink as his ideal proteges. But I guess we'll see where it goes. If nothing else, MVP's involvement makes that rematch a little more interesting, if I'm going to be honest. So, we'll just have to wait and see on that. And then to close it out, it was the contract signing. The contract signing for the WWE Championship match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. The WWE Champion Drew McIntyre, his challenger Seth Rollins. Jerry the King Lawler was the moderator. Oh, by the way, Samoa Joe was back on commentary. If you didn't read the dirt sheet that came out earlier this afternoon, Samoa Joe is going to be working commentary for this latest, I don't know if it's injury or whatever it is with Joe, but good to have him back on that. He was great as always. But anywho, the contract signing went down. And Michael Bullock, a.k.a. JBL in this instance, what happens with contract signings, especially this one here tonight?
It doesn't end well.
And did it end well?
Certainly did not. It did not end well. And it didn't end well to the point where the champion was told Jerry the King Lawler to get out of there. And you could see the look in Jerry Lawler's eyes, probably like, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Yeah, and they traded some verbiage. There was some back and forth, and then, well, that's when it did not end well. I mean, they decided to throw down. It just when McIntyre was ready to claymore Seth Rollins' head off, Seth Rollins' disciple Buddy Murphy shows up, and yeah. He ends up eating a claymore from him. So whatever the Monday Night Messiah had planned, it didn't. It didn't go as planned. So yeah, it is now official. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. So yeah, there's really nothing more to add. I'm just gonna give it to Dee Woodson now.
Yeah, this is another instance where if you don't want to use a dirty word, you can call the disciple the idiot, because he's definitely kissing Rollins' butt, that's for sure. And for what? To get claymored like he did tonight. So yeah. It was a solid segment. No doubt about that. Definitely did what it needed to get done to lead up for the match. And yeah, Drew knew what was going to happen. That's why he gave Jerry the heads up, get out of here while you can, because he knew that, none of these contract signings ever end peaceful, as they always end up with somebody going through the table and then a brawl going out and everything. And of course, they didn't let us down on that. So, yeah, not much more I'm going to say. I mean, it was definitely storyline driven segment. Definitely did what it needed to do. So it's yours, Florio.
Florio, before you move on, if you guys want to unmute your mics, I have some breaking news that I'd like to tell you guys. Fletch, remember you said something about Apollo Crews hoping that you have him as questionable?
Uh-huh.
Well, I just got this news now. Apollo Crews is out of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Damn.
What is it?
All they said it was a knee injury that'll force Apollo Crews out of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. That's the only thing I have right now, but it is confirmed he is out of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Man,
Damn it.
ouch.
Damn it to hell. Ugh.
Not good news.
No, not at all. That
No.
way, man, that's you got to feel for him right now. You got to feel for Apollo, man. That's heartbreaking, man. That's a devastating loss. Yeah, I wonder what it could be. Hopefully, it's just maybe a sprained knee or something like that. Hopefully, it's not ligament damage. Because if it's a ligament damage, that means he'll be out longer. Hopefully, it's just a sprain. They're just precautionary, and that's why they're probably not going to have him fight in Money in the Bank. But either way, it sucks.
Well, hopefully we can get some more. Hopefully, as the week progresses, on what the actual injury is to that knee.
Yeah.
So, but either way, it's bad enough that it's gonna keep him out of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Florio.
That's a damn shame, man. I mean, if you heard a loud crack coming from my area, I think you all know what that was. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But so now we're gonna have to find a replacement. Well, they'll probably work some sort of angle next week. See what happens with that. But anyways, as far as the contract signing goes, this to me was the segment of the night. I mean, this was a great quiet finish to the night. Rollins cut a strong promo to sell his stance. He continues to talk a big game, but not deliver. However, he promised here that the full picture would become clear at Money in the Bank. It'll be interesting to see what comes of this match. It could be as simple as the Scottish superstar laying out the Messiah on his road to a dominant title reign. It would be interesting if something more came of it all. Maybe a new follower appears, or Rollins does pull off the unthinkable and steals the belt. But they saved the best segment of the night for last. I want to believe that there's a plan for Rollins and that something will actually come together at the pay-per-view, but I'm not sure there's more to this than we see. McIntyre was really strong with his laid-back coolness and the way he attacked Rollins to get the better of him. They also taped next week's Raw today, so it's possible he did more, but why do they continue to take the risk with Jerry Lawler? I don't know, but yes, he wants to do it, but good bosses save their employees from themselves. That's the only little concern that I have, but what a fantastic segment all around. This to me was the segment of the night. Definitely gets me a little more excited for that title match. It's got show stealer potential. So there's really nothing more to say. MF, segment of the night as far as this goes.
Agree. Segment of the night. It was a very good segment. Great way to sell the WWE title fight, which this truly deserved. And yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. It's gonna be a very good matchup. It's gonna be a very good title match, no doubt about that. And you get very intrigued. Up to this point, a lot of people's been pretty happy with the title reign of Drew McIntyre, but now he's gonna have a legitimate contender, a legitimate threat, which is the one, the only, the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. Can he do it again? Can he rise up to the occasion and slay the legend of the Scottish psychopath in Drew McIntyre? So in the immortal words of Zelina Vega, what up, Drew? So we'll see what happens coming up at the pay-per-view. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, we're going to get into our overall thoughts. Didi Woodson, you don't need to give a rating. Just give us your overall final thought on this Monday Night Raw this evening.
Oh, it could have been better. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes, we did have a few storyline-driven matches and segments, but just way too many short little mini matches that we really didn't need, or matches that just went way too long. I mean, they could have taken a little bit out of that first match and gave it to the ladies, so that their match, Liv Morgan's match, could have been a little bit longer than what it was. That one was a wee bit short. Don't need to advertise something that you're not going to show. You had a lot of people that were looking forward to seeing, the three lady contenders go up against each other, and then they just brawl. I mean, that's not really what everybody wanted to see. They wanted to see who was going to go into this this week with an advantage before the week before the pay-per-view. So yeah, I feel bad for Apollo Crews. I'm hoping that it isn't anything too major, but yeah, I think we all pretty much kind of knew when they did the interview there at the end, him on the crutches and everything, that he was probably going to be out. I'm just hoping that they don't give it to Andrade. They need to have a match, have it the spot earned, uh, like it was originally, instead of just handing it to somebody. So hopefully they don't do that. If they do that, then you may get a major rant out of me, because I don't want to see people handed stuff. I want to actually see them fight for it and prove that they deserve the spot, instead of just having it handed to them. So yeah, not a whole lot more I'm going to add to it. I mean, like I said, you had some solid segments, some solid storyline stuff, but you had a lot of crap and just a very um, weak show. And I don't know if it's the fact that the arena is just empty, or if if it has to do with the way they're writing it, the way they're producing it. I don't know. Something is really making it weak. As I think the only other positive besides the storyline stuff was just having Joe on the announce team, because he definitely is a very good announcer. Definitely better to listen to than some of the other guys that they've had. So yeah, not much more I'm going to add. So I'm heading to bed. Good night, guys.
All right, good night, Dee Dee, and we'll hopefully see you Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem. So
Gonna try.
okay,
That's all I can. That's all I can say right now, because things are crazy right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Right.
it's 10 p.m. Wednesday night, just in case. So just to let you know. So but anyways, yeah. For the most part, it wasn't all that good of a show. I mean, cutouts and unnecessary filler ruled the roost, like it always does. We have way too many squash matches and what have you. But there were some positives out of this, and even with the devastating news that we just received, there's no question about it. Apollo Crews was the star of this show tonight. I mean, the what he did on the mic during the VIP lounge, and the performance he put forth in both matches this evening. I mean, it looked like they were that he was finally on his way to a push, and well, so much for that. But when it comes to recommendations, I would recommend the VIP lounge. I would recommend the 6-man tag, because that was the fight of the night. I would also recommend Crews and Andrade for the U.S. title, and I would also recommend the contract signing with McIntyre and Rollins, with Murphy showing up at the end. So yeah, those are my only recommendations for the night. Everything else you can just skip, because it was just squash matches, showcase matches, what have you, and so that's really all there is to say on that. So good old MF Michael Fletcher, let's get a final thought from you on this show tonight.
Yeah, it was not the best Monday Night Raw. I think we can agree with that. There was a lot of cutouts, a lot of filler stuff. Nothing that really stood out among the action. Yes, Apollo Crews was the MVP. Devastating news to hear that he's now out of Money in the Bank. That's an absolute heartbreaker, to say the very least. At the end of the day, it was a solid show, but there was really nothing to write home about. We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens next. So, with that said, Michael Bullock, you got the final word.
Yeah, it wasn't the best Monday Night Raw, to say the very least. I mean, it was lots of filler, lots of cutout, lots of repetitiveness. You did have some good segments. You had some a couple of good matches, but other than that, I mean, it just really wasn't all that good. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Florio, I think it's time for your Tony steak.
Yes, it is. And 205 Live now. There's not going to really be much of a 205 Live review. I think this is probably going to be an ongoing thing for a while. You remember the week before they talked about the Brian Kendrick and the matches that inspired him. Well, they did the same thing this past week. It was Arya Davari who picked a couple of matches that inspired him, and the first one was the 5-star classic from the 1996 Survivor Series when Bret the Hitman Hart defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin 28 minutes and 35 seconds. And the other match was his own match from June 4th of last year on 205 Live in a losing effort against Oni Lorcan, which Oni Lorcan beat Arya Davari in 15 minutes and 40 seconds. So it's 205. It's called 205 Live's The Matches That Made Me. And I really don't know who's going to be on the next one, but I'll keep you posted on that. So that's all there is to say on that. So now let's get to the good stuff here. Night 1 of Impact Wrestling Rebellion, which took place, of course, as you all know. Impact Wrestling is now joining in the empty arena or closed set tapings, along with AEW and WWE, obviously. And week 1, it's divided via 2 weeks, and let's set it up here. It featured a surprise return, and just give me one moment here. All right, here we go. I got it now. I got my notes up. All right. We started off with a 6-man tag team matchup. OVE, Jake and Dave Crist, and Madman Fulton against Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, and their mystery partner, Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve is back in Impact Wrestling, and his team, Crazy Steve, Rhino, and Dreamer, they win the match 9.5 minutes. This was the worst fight of the night. This was a 2-star match. Okay, but flat opener. OVE continues to lose to Dreamer and Rhino. I still don't get why, but it is what it is. Then we had a triple threat match: the Rascals versus TJP and Falaba versus Triple XL. Rascals win the match 14 minutes and 1 second, 3.25 stars. It was a bit lethargic in the middle when Larry D of Triple XL was in control, but it was an overall good tag match with the right team winning. I'm very high on those Rascals. They continue to impress. X Division Championship match: Ace Austin defending the title against Willie Mack. Winner of the match in 13.5 minutes. And new Impact Wrestling X Division champion, Willie Mack, formerly the Mack from Lucha Underground. He is now X Division champion. This, to me, was the fight of the night. This was 3.5 stars. My only nitpick was Ace was stalling early on. It made no sense in an empty arena setting since it's designed to get crowd heat. But despite that, it was a really good and fun match with Mack picking up the title. Well done. All I can say, 3.5 stars. Kylie Ray against Kiera Hogan. Kylie Ray wins the match, 9 minutes and 25 seconds, 3.25 stars. Good, fun, and competitive bout that allowed both women to shine, but also made sure to put over Kylie Ray in victory. And then main event of night 1 was the unsanctioned match: Sami Callihan against Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock wins the match in 11 minutes. Yeah, I can only give it 2 stars. It was okay. Thankfully, not bad, although the finish makes no sense whatsoever to have Shamrock win, since Sami Callihan lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Tessa Blanchard, came back with this repackaged character, seemingly breaking away from OVE, and then loses to Ken Shamrock. That bothers me very much so. 7 out of 10. It was a pretty good show with some good and fun action in the middle, but in my opinion, was bookended by a subpar opening match and main event, and both of those with questionable booking decisions. So, not thrilled about those finishes. If not for that, I might have gone a little higher, but no, 7 out of 10 is the best I can go. Tomorrow night, I can honestly say I'm not really looking forward to this. I was more excited about last week's show than this week's because there was a lot of meh matches on this. But Cousin Jake against Joseph P. Ryan. This could be good. This is a 50-50 show, really. Trey Miguel, Rohit Raju, Suicide, and Chris Bay in a 4-way X Division bout. A Full Metal Mayhem match with Jessica Havoc and Rosemary. And we will find out the fate of the Impact World Heavyweight Championship because Tessa Blanchard, as you all know, couldn't compete. She did not make the trip to the studio in Nashville, obviously because of the concerns over the coronavirus and everything else. She's currently in Mexico because she is engaged to Daga, who is out of Mexico. So we'll see what happens with that. And also Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards is in Canada, I believe, or something. But I don't know what's going on with Eddie Edwards, but Eddie Edwards is out as well. Michael Elgin was the only one who made the trip to Nashville. So could he be the new World Heavyweight Champion? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and find out. But I'm sure there's going to be some sort of major angle that goes down. So that all goes down tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, Access TV, Encore at 11, or on Twitch or any of the other streaming sites for that. So that'll put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Good old MF Michael Fletcher will be with you. We'll take over on Wednesday night, and the 10 p.m. start time is going to be in effect for a while, according to MF. We will have Wednesday Night Mayhem over on his channel, Brace Fan 95, as we will run down AEW Dynamite and, of course, NXT. And on NXT, we got a big double main event. Keith Lee will defend the NXT North American Championship against Damian Priest. And then, non-title match, the Queen Charlotte Flair, the NXT Women's Champion, will defend against Mia Yim. So that's going to be something else right there. And then Friday night, same time, Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Brace Fan 95 as we will run down Friday Night SmackDown and the whole 9 yards. And then we'll come back here next week as we kick off Go Home Week for Money in the Bank. So very exciting indeed. So that'll do it for this. So until Wednesday night, from Wednesday Night Mayhem over on Brace Fan 95, it's your ridiculously over good brother Anthony Floyo here, signing off on behalf of my panel, good old MF Michael Fletcher, the Phenom Michael Bullock, the Twisted Angel and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson, and always in forever, Derek Forever. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, Florida Portrait 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, especially after what happened to Apollo Crews this evening, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Floyo, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.